All right, good evening, everyone. Going to try to have this microphone work out well. Welcome to the Planning Board meeting for Braintree, May 14th. We are up in the Johnson Chambers tonight. We are here to work on the revenue side while the counselors down there are working on the expense side of the town. So thank you for coming this evening. Our old new business starts at 7 o'clock, and then we start the new public hearings at 7:15. So we only have a few items on the old new business, and I will just mention for the record who's here tonight. We have Member Conley will be voting as a full member on any applications. Member Storlazzi is not able to make it this evening. All right, so the old new business, we'll start with the meeting minutes from December 12th, 2023 and January 9th, 2024. Did anyone have any questions or comments with the meeting minutes? All right, and with that, I'll just take a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
So move.
Motion by Member Kent. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Grove. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Oh, and I should mention also that although we're up here, it is still being broadcast on Beld for anybody interested in watching that might have heard that announcement. So next we'll move on to the approval not required plan for 60 Columbian Street. Here we have a staff report from Director Santucci Razzi.
Yes, Madam Chair, I provided a report in your packets this afternoon. If I could draw the board's memory to, are we really passing that one microphone?
You guys don't need to move it.
What'd you say?
You don't need to move the microphones up.
Oh,
Okay.
perfect, awesome.
Great.
If I could draw the board's memory to the Banner Park project, they actually filed the approval not required plan last year. That plan was endorsed by the board, but they were in the process of deregistration through the land court, and 6 months have lapsed since the plan was endorsed by the clerk, so they can't record that anymore. So they've resubmitted the same exact plan. I have a full-size one here to share with the members, but it's essentially creating the development piece and then creating the conservation piece in the rear. The development lot will maintain the requisite frontage along Columbian Street, and the second lot, the conservation lot, is labeled unbuildable and is in the rear. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. I do recall looking at this one
Yeah.
previously, so I know I don't have any questions. Are there any other members that have any questions on the plan?
Could I just ask?
Sure.
I'll ask the director. So, of course, we heard subsequent to the meeting that there was some discussion that they may have a different use and therefore different, perhaps, design and build out. Does that affect this at all?
If I may, through the chair, to Member McCamey's question. So we're in the process of trying to set up a meeting with Chris Friel and his group at Banner Park. The folks that we had met with that showed interest in the movie studio have never followed up, have never come back. I'm not sure what they're doing. It doesn't involve the town of Braintree at this point. So we had a meeting set up for last week, and some different priorities came up, and it needed to get canceled. But we're in the process now of myself and the Joyce administration sitting down with them and figuring out, what are you going to do? Do you have alternative ideas? And we really want to get something going there. The Brigham piece in the front, they still own that. Their permit has come and gone. They have no desire to build a medical facility there. So is there some opportunity to your point, Member McCamey, expand upon what was approved, decide on something different? Nonetheless, this rare section, both pursuant to our original special permit site plan review decision and the order of conditions, this piece, regardless of what goes forward, that rare piece is going to be the conservation piece.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Member Grove?
Melissa,
Yes.
Does it make any sense in us going forward until you've had your meeting and resolved any potential differences?
No, it doesn't. I mean, we have 21 days to sign the plan, so I would advise the board to act within that time frame. As noted in Darren McCamey's question, regardless what happens in the front, this rear piece is gonna be conservation and will not be developed under this plan or a future plan. I don't know if the board remembers all the wetlands that are back there and the crossings that would be required to access this area and the massive change in grade. They have indicated that they are sticking to, this is developable, this is not developable. So no, I don't think, I wouldn't ever recommend the board not endorse an A&R in the 21-day period.
And the only thing we're looking at is whether it meets the minimum frontage, correct?
That's it, yeah. And as noted, the back lot does not have any frontage and is labeled unbuildable as such.
Thank you. So would I just be looking for motion to endorse the plan as approval not required?
So move.
Motion by member Kent, we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Conley, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will do the paperwork and have member McCamey endorse that plan.
Great.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Director. And the next item on the agenda, request for as-built approval. It's my understanding that we're tabling that until June, is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair, just quick update. I've been working with Mr. Katzen on getting this thing tightened up, and there were a few conditions that had not been addressed, and he's working on those. I did receive some drafts early this morning. They need to be vetted through council in coordination with Weymouth, so hopefully we can button that up by June. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We have a few more minutes here. We have a notice on the agenda about a survey that's being conducted by the town for Wood Road Revitalization and Mixed-Use Development Initiative. Director Santucci Razi, can you give a little bit of an update on that? I think that's
Yeah.
Assistant Director Murphy.
Yeah, I can try.
Thank you.
I should know about it, right? Yes, to follow up on the chair's comments, we received a grant for economic development. And as part of that, in our discussions here locally, we decided to partner up with MAPC, who is working, Connor is the lead on the town side, but he's working with a core group. Attorney Marinelli is involved with that, some property owners, and also our district council Flaherty, meeting every other week, detailing information. They've done a lot of sort of existing conditions, underlay sort of reports, and now they're sort of in the public outreach. They've done a couple different working sessions, similar to those that we had with the master plan. We have the survey, as noted here. We encourage everyone to take that. As of today, we had 150 responses on the survey. So we urge all our residents and business owners, property owners, we want to hear from you. And we're really looking to gather as much information as possible so we can be as diligent and responsible in looking at the Wood Road zoning and really understanding how to maximize that highway frontage, similar to some of the other communities. We always make an example of Needham along their sort of industrial area, their First Ave, Second Ave, and what their frontage highway looks like and how that really activates and shows a good sign of economic development and business in that community. So exciting process. I wish I had a little bit more to update on that, but essentially right now we are in the, there was an initial meeting with business owners, and there's going to, with local officials, and the next one is gonna be the business and the property owners. So anyone that's in the room that isn't tied in that wants to be, they can reach out directly to Connor Murphy or myself on the planning office. And if any of the board members have any other follow-up questions or would like to see any more information, they can reach out directly and we can share that as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Fantastic. Thank you. And we still have a few more minutes. So I know that the town, I believe, recently had a public meeting discussing the use or potential uses of 7490 Pond Street. Do you mind giving just a short update on that one?
Yeah, not at all, I'd love to, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the chair is correct, we also received a separate grant, a state grant, to investigate feasibility for senior and veterans housing. So we picked Pond Street, we've been talking about doing housing there for a long time, back to the Sullivan administration. So an exciting opportunity to have some money to really kind of dig down and, you know, what's good about these buildings, what's not good, how can we add to them, how can we improve landscaping, how can we provide amenities for seniors. And we have a wonderful team, LDA is the lead architect, Niche is on engineering, and then they have some, I call them the money guys, or money girls. Then they're on the sort of back end determining, you know, number of units, or that sweet spot, what do you need to make the project viable, what's the mix of affordability gonna look like, helping us decide, should we sell the property, should we do a land lease? And then the ultimate end game would be to eventually put out an RFP to have the site redeveloped. I mean, it's just not performing at the level that it needs to be for a town asset. It's substantially unutilized. 90 is essentially storage was, and then 74 has a mixed match of different quasi-public, some public offices, and then some private leasers as well. So the initial schematics were presented at that meeting. They presented 4 options. I haven't checked, but they should be up on the front page of the website. And then next week, I'm gonna be going, I was in discussions with Marta Hugans, who is the chair of the Braintree Housing Authority. She's also a member of the Community Preservation Committee. She was on the call, and I had followed up with her after, and also discussed with Lauren Murphy, the director of the Housing Authority, and I'll be visiting them at their monthly meeting next Tuesday, just to give a brief overview. The Housing Authority, from my opinion, is one of the groups that is most tapped into the needs here for seniors in the community and those restricted by income. So very interested to get their feedback and present the materials to them as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Right, and that did not bring us to 7:15,
Yeah.
so everybody just hold tight for another minute.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
Melissa, back to Wood Road for a second. Has the state been contacted at all about widening Wood Road?
Wood Road's a private road.
It's a private
Yep,
road?
under care and control of the town. Yep, not private, I should say, not state, my bad. It's a Braintree public way.
Right, but what I'm getting at is that it borders right on Wampatuck now. If it were to be widened to the right as you're looking at it, that'd be state property.
Are you talking about the intersection of,
I am talking about widening Wood Road enough for about 200 feet so that you've got some stacking area.
well, the
Because
bottom part of,
if you've got 2 lanes dumping into that, we're gonna end up back with another traffic disaster down there.
it's 2 lanes when it meets Granite Street.
Right, but what
I'm not
I'm
sure
saying
what-
is that the distance of the lanes doesn't match the feed. The receptive area should be as large as the feed area to keep it from stacking up in the middle of Granite Street.
I'm not sure I follow that.
If you have cars for 200 feet coming into the intersection, you should have 200 feet of Wood Road being able to accept the traffic.
Yeah, and it's, I'm almost positive it's, I'd have to measure, but the turn is 2, and then it funnels to 1 when you get kind of like in front of, a little before Candida's, yeah.
Right, but what I'm getting at is if you're going to redevelop Wood Road, if you're going to increase the traffic impacts, you need to make sure that you have enough
Well,
area.
we don't know that we're gonna be increasing the traffic impact, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Yep.
But that's regardless, that we own that, we own Wood Road. We don't own on both sides, but we own the layout. Yeah.
All right, and now we have hit 7:15, so we will start the first public hearing. I need to recuse myself for the first one, so Member Kent here, Vice Chair, is going to be taking the lead, and I will be back.
Have a nice trip.
All right. This is hearing for special permit, 695 to 787 Granite Street, specifically 731 Granite Street, from WATA LLC applicant. I think you're ready to go.
I'm just gonna read the notice, Mr. Chairman, the legal notice, thank you. Notice is given by the planning board under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Sections 9 and 11, and the Braintree zoning ordinance, Chapter 135, Articles 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, and 14, that a public hearing will be conducted in Braintree Town Hall on Tuesday, May 14, 2024, at 7:15 p.m. The planning board will consider a use special permit and site plan review by the applicant, David Ames, manager of WATA LLC. The applicant seeks to operate a 3,200 square foot commercial recreation establishment known as My Gym. This property, Granite Plaza, is 19.8 plus or minus acres, has an address of 695 to 787 Granite Street. This tenant space is 731, is zoned highway business within the watershed protection overlay district, and is identified on assessment plan 1032 is plots 1, 1M, 2M, 1L, 1I, 1H, 1G, 2H, and plan 2048 on plot 32.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairperson Kent, members of the Planning Board, Frank Marinelli, 439 Washington Street, Braintree. And I'm pleased to appear this evening on behalf of David Ames and his company, which is My Gym, Braintree. And with me is Dave and his wife Tanya, and also their son August. Dave is a graduate of Bowdoin College and also has his master's in teaching from Tufts. Tanya is a counselor at South Shore Charter School, and we're pleased to be here tonight to represent this small business that is proposing to occupy 3,200 square feet of space, vacant space, at Granite Street, 731 Granite Street, the Granite Plaza property. My Gym is a children's fitness center that provides early learning of physical education with classes for children ranging from 3 months to 8 years old, and I'll put some of that material in the application that you have in front of you. The majority of classes are 50 minutes in length, and parents pay for classes through recurring payments every 4 weeks. Children have 1 class per week, plus access to open gym time. The My Gym concept started over 40 years ago. There are about 700 locations worldwide. Dave has taught school in the Cohasset and Brookline and Hamilton Wenham school systems, and about 16 years ago he became a franchisee for My Gym, and he currently operates the My Gym in Norwell, and I can personally attest to the beneficial program of My Gym Norwell. My son attended during his toddler years when he was eligible, and he's become a proficient athlete, at least coordinated anyway. So the proposal
Is that in
before,
fine print? You're very, 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 very fine.
so the proposal is for a special permit to locate My Gym in the vacant 3,200 square feet that was formerly the Chung's Chinese restaurant. So My Gym Braintree obviously serves a beneficial need for our young families in the town of Braintree and the area. It brings a beneficial community service and an upgrade to that plaza. I think that the staff cited that in their staff report at page 5, where the staff report states that over the past 15 years, the planning staff has worked with Messina, the owner, to upgrade the aesthetics and appearance of Granite Plaza. To date, the use has diversified to include some popular food uses as well as fitness and retail. My Gym is a logical addition to Granite Plaza and the surrounding land uses. The location is accessible, convenient, has sufficient infrastructure. The Granite Plaza is family-oriented, and this use promotes that theme and pairs well with the existing tenant composition. The town welcomes new business and economic growth with uses that improve the quality of life for our residents. So that is the concept and the program that Dave has successfully operated in Norwell and brings here to Braintree. And you have the floor plan in front of you. It's a very straightforward floor plan. It's open tumbling area, and there's a small office component actually on the description I attached to the application. The facility includes age-appropriate physical education gym, an entrance lobby, 2 bathrooms, a closet for storing equipment, and an office. So that's pretty much a straightforward floor plan. He's anxious to open, would like to open on June 17th, Monday, June 17th. So we've reviewed the draft conditions. We worked on some revisions with Ms. Santucci Rossi. I think in particular, the way that paragraph 24 was drafted is really an owner responsibility concerning the entire site. The site, the Granite Plaza, has existed for decades, right? It's over 13 acres. It's in the highway business zone. You look at a use like this, small business, and in addressing our obsolete zoning ordinances in the future, you might consider that a low square footage use like this, 3,200 square feet, should not be in the same use category as Planet Fitness or LA Fitness or Crunch, which is over 5 times as large. In this very plaza, Planet Fitness has 18,000 square feet and is in the same category with different impacts than my gym, 3,200 square feet. So I know that we're always looking at our bylaws. It's been a somewhat tedious process for a small business person, and really something that should be a use by right when we review our ordinances in the future. So with that, I'd like to let Dave say a few words about his business, and we're happy to answer any questions. Again, I think that Melissa has all of the revisions to the draft conditions. Most prominently was paragraph 24, which is really a site responsibility of the owner. And then paragraph 30, I have a picture of Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness has 2 planters. Condition 30 proposed that we have 50% of our frontage devoted to planters. We can't do that. It's not a tenant responsibility. It's not a small business person responsibility. It's an owner responsibility. That's between the town and the owner. But where the Planet Fitness has two planters, certainly something that's less than 1/5 the size of that space should probably only have a couple of planters. There is indication in the staff report under G on page 3 that the town previously underwent, if you look at page 3G, in 2014, the planning board approved a new landscaping plan for Granite Plaza. I don't know the compliance or non-compliance of the owner with that. That's, again, between the town and the owner. We're just here as a small business person trying to occupy a small amount of space that's currently vacant. And it goes on to say in G, the implementation of the 2014 site landscaping was a huge improvement to the site. So perhaps that's something, that the owner and the town will follow up on. But we don't agree with condition 30 and that kind of imposition of 50% of the frontage being planters. It should not say applicant, it should say owner. Owner responsibility, whatever it gets agreed to between the owner and the town. And I think Ms. Santucci Rossi would agree with that. Those are the revisions that we discussed today. But I want to make sure they're reflected in whatever document is filed with the town clerk.
Okay. Questions from board members?
I had a question for the director. Did you want to address that question about the planters and if that's
Yeah,
an
if
applicant
that's
issue?
okay, Mr. Chairman. So I did meet with Frank this morning, and we had David on the line. And basically the meat of the discussion was separating out more clearly in the decision what is Mr. Ames' responsibility and what falls on Mr. Or FX Messina's responsibility. So we, Frank and I and Dave went through of where we're gonna say owner and where we're gonna say applicant. Typically, those terms are used interchangeable, and they would like them separated out. Obviously, this is, the responsibility for my gym is one thing, the responsibility for all of Granite Plaza is a completely different thing. So understanding, that concern. So throughout the document, there will be, the word applicant and owner will be amended accordingly. Again, not negating anything that needs to be done, just clarifying it. And then we did talk about the planters, understanding that, and Mr. Hanan is here from FX Messina. So we had the 2 planters for Planet Fitness, so we pulled that same condition. Again, just to the front of the stores here is very hard. It's got the overhang in the front, it's got the columns coming down, and just continually thinking of ways to lighten things up and dress things up. So the original condition about the 2 planters, 50% of the storefront, I was thinking like very long, sort of linear ones, running out, underneath the windows. So, I don't have a problem reducing the percentage to, I would be fine with 25% of the frontage. I think that the storefront's 40 feet wide, so that means 10 of that. The door obviously comes out of that, but then that means about 10, so maybe 2 planters that are horizontal under the windows, is what I was envisioning for that, and open to suggestions, from the board, in support or something else. And that's basically what all the conditions are staying, it's just clarifying exactly what, Mr. Ames is willing to, take on for responsibility, being a single tenant in a very, very large plaza, versus Messina's responsibilities.
And what
Which-
do you see as enforcement for the owner for the responsibilities that are put on them?
Who is the enforcement?
Like, what would be your enforcement if the owner of the
So what
property?
we had something that came up, just this week, and Mr. Hanan is taking care of those things and, giving him a little bit of time. And then, I go to the building inspector and request formal enforcement at that time. I don't have any formal enforcement powers, but we try to work with people, put them on notice, hey, take care of this, and then, give them an opportunity. He's provided a response, that's satisfactory today, but, in a week or 2 weeks, that might not be satisfactory, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Bowden.
Yep, thank you. Not to pig pile on this, but I know a few years ago, we had some issues
Mhm.
at Granite Plaza,
Yes.
so, and I know we don't like to use new applicants
Right,
as leverage, but
right,
sometimes that's the best leverage, as Mr. Marinelli knows.
yes.
So have they substantially lived up to, I can't recall every single thing.
I have to
Yeah.
say that it's Granite Plaza is looking the best it's looked since I've been working here. So the
Okay.
landscaping, again, and I've been mindful that, the approved plan is only as good as the compliance with it, and continually, annually taking out the plan, okay, we're doing the spring cleanup, looks like these few things, and it's not just them, it's, oh, this is died, and they pull it out. No, you need to replace it, so, and then again, it's just, but no, it looks good there, the back was very clean. There's 2 instances, and again, Mr. Hanan was right on them when I brought them to his attention. They're tenant related, and they will be rectified, but no, it looks pretty good over there, I have to say, it really does, it's cleaned up. The landscaping has made a huge difference, restriping the parking areas, aligning the ADA spots with the appropriate drop-down ramps, it's far more accessible. And probably on the fuller side than it has been in years past. And Montilio's is a big draw, Burlington Coat, and then thinking about this particular use, even if you wanted to go to the regular gym, you could put your toddler or little one in a class, and, you know, they have IHOP there. So there's things for the families, to do in this particular plaza. So, I think it's looking, like I said, it's looked the best in the last 20 years, so.
Okay. So a few questions related to the business. Mr. Marinelli, could you just review for us the hours of operation
So the
again?
hours for operation are generally 9 to 5,
Okay,
and
Saturday
Dave
too?
can, you know, I mean, I guess if there's a birthday party or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe you could come to the
Yeah,
podium.
come on.
Yeah, sure.
When we open, hopefully this summer, we'll just be running morning classes up until about 2:30 in the afternoon. And that'll be 7 days a week. Classes start at 9, they are 50 minutes long, and classes will finish up anywhere between like 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. As we get going and our business hopefully takes off, we will have some afternoon classes for children, say, in kindergarten, first grade, when they're getting out of school. They'll come to, say, a 4 o'clock class, possibly a 5 o'clock class, depending on how we want to model it. We really are pretty much closing down at 6, even with extent, like, because that becomes dinner time for kids at those ages. So, yeah. And then on Saturdays, in the afternoons, we have classes in the mornings, and then we'll run kids' birthday parties in the afternoons. The typical model is running a 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock party. Sometimes we might, if there's a lot of demand, we might have a 5 o'clock party. That would be the latest. It's pretty much the same thing on Sundays, except we probably wouldn't go quite as late. We might have another, we'd have a 12 o'clock party, maybe a 2 o'clock and a 4 o'clock party, but I have to staff all that, and sometimes
Sure.
that just gets tricky, so.
So that was another question of mine, you know, the number of employees you're gonna have
Yeah.
approximately or range.
So to operate initially, I really don't need too many employees, probably about 4, but my staff in Norwell, they're excited to also work in the Braintree location. So I'm gonna bring a lot of people with experience to that new location, which is good. It's gonna help, obviously, with customer retention. But as we go along, I think with the demographics here, it'll probably operate with about 8 teachers.
Okay, and so if you have parties, are you gonna have food brought in then? You're not gonna have food there yourself?
Yeah, we don't provide food. Our model right now in Norwell is the parents are required to bring in the cake and they can order pizza, but we don't do any of that service.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question I had is, I think Mr. Marinelli mentioned there are 700 odd My Gyms across the country or whatever.
Worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide.
Oh, worldwide,
franchisee.
okay, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, a little less than 200 in the United States.
Got it, okay, so what's the advantage of you being a franchisee? Do they do all the programming for you? How, you know, what are they adding the value?
Yeah, so the value is that, so if you went to any My Gym across the country, and you went to a 1-year-old class, we call it the Waddlers class, that same program is being run
Is that the
throughout.
one Frank's kid went to?
Yeah, he was a waddler. He was a waddler and became a gymster and a terrific tot, all of that. But
It's good to see him graduate from a
Yes.
Waddler.
yes, he's no longer waddling. So the same programming is being run around the country on the same weeks. This allows us to adjust for seasonality. For, you know, if it's a holiday season or something, we can do puppet shows and songs and dances and things like that that are related to holidays. But we also just have the advantage of being able to there's training online for all my new teachers. We have an 8-week training program. There's a lot of video content and things like that. So the franchise is providing us with the curriculum and also all the training materials. And they also help me with just all of my general HR, you know, staying compliant with things I need to, so,
Okay.
yeah.
My other question relates to the fact that, of course, you're going to have young kids, and as Melissa said, the director said, that plaza is much busier than it used to be. You know, you used to park anywhere,
Right.
and it's good to have some businesses working there. So are there going to be any special provisions for kids from the parking lot getting over to your facility?
So,
How's that
working with FX Messina, the way we design the front of the plaza, because the Chung's restaurant, that whole front had to come down, if you're familiar with that
Yes.
plaza. So
Right.
that whole front came down, and the way we designed it was with a vestibule, so it's a two-door system. So both doors are access and you can open into them, but it will take a child, like if a child ever was, say, in our lobby and was trying to exit without the parent there, we made sure when this was built that the doors are heavy. That's one of my gym's requirements, that the doors need to be heavy, so a 3-year-old can't really push that door open. But in addition, I wanted to put a vestibule in because that makes it a two-door system, which is even more difficult for a child to get out into the parking lot. That not all my gyms obviously can be designed that way, but I was fortunate in order to be able to build it that way. So,
Okay, but we're not doing anything special in the parking lot? Okay,
not specifically in the parking lot, no.
yeah, okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. Member Grove?
Yes, sir. Ms. Santucci. On the plaza requirements, do you remember if anything's been done in terms of Harbor Freight and their little adventures in taking over like 10% of the parking lot for an outdoor sale?
I don't believe that they've done that recently. I'm not,
Well, I'm just concerned that
there's,
if the plaza itself is that much more active, and especially with young kids, we don't want to have them parking on Mars and then trying to get to the facility. Do we have anything in place
like what? That says you
that we
can't
could
have?
have the building inspector go down and tell Harbor Freight they can't do that?
Harbor, well, the plaza itself has about an extra,
39 parking spaces.
yeah, they have surplus parking spaces, so some of those spots, I'm just gonna ask, Mr. Hanan, if you don't mind, if you wouldn't mind coming to the podium. Harbor Freight doing outside sales,
I'd have to check the lease.
yeah,
I don't recall them having one. I've been with the company for about 4 years, and I
Yeah.
don't recall an outdoor event that they
Yeah.
had. But in the leases, sometimes we do give a tenant an outside right, but
Yeah.
I'd have to let you know. But the only other thing I was thinking about your question was, every one of these children is escorted by a
Right,
parent into the space.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
it's, there is an adult that is taking this person in and leaving with the child as well. So I hope that would alleviate
Yeah.
your concerns. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, we don't allow a child to exit and run out to mom or dad's car. That's never the case. Everyone's coming inside to pick up their kids.
That's fine, but I mean, you still need to be afforded some reasonable parking.
oh, there's tons of
Yeah,
parking.
we have,
was
I
out
think
there.
it's 1,068 is required, there's 1,117 parking spaces out there. So it does comply, and there are extra spaces. I counted like 39 on the latest grid of uses. 39 extra.
Can you designate specific spaces for specific use?
Probably not. I mean,
It gets very difficult in a shopping center environment if you start putting up signs for each individual tenant. It just would, it's, everybody has different hours of operation, same hours of operation. I think that would be a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, we've gone back and forth about this, Mr. Chairman, and the only thing that's enforceable are the ADA spots. You know, I won't give away my secrets of where I park when I go to the plaza, but I can tell you I'm not picking up cheesecake curbside. So none of those are enforceable. The only enforceable spaces under the law are ADA. So people love to put up all these signs, you know, car number 1, car 2, curbside this, curb pickup that, but that's nothing that's, you know, I think that, I mean, I've gone out there probably 4 times in the past when we first start talking, Dave, just to check on things and look at things, and, I mean, there's definitely a plan of parking spots. Sometimes we're busier than others, you know. In the mornings, it gets busy in the gym corner, cause everyone's going to the gym. Midday, it kinda thins out, but, and honestly, I don't know how busy, is Harbor Freight even busy?
It's a pretty good store.
Is it? Alright, so. Yeah, the conditions that regulate 89, I think it's 8913 and 90-2, those are the site plans for Granite Plaza 1 and 2. Talk about all the spaces being available for all the tenants.
Right.
And we're not modifying that particular
Right,
decision.
so I mean, if that's the way that speaks, then a tenant can't just come out and claim something for an activity.
The surplus spots though, that's what I'm saying, the spaces over and above zoning. So, again, 4 years, I'm not sure when these sales went on, but,
You haven't had,
I
I haven't
I
had.
haven't had an issue.
yeah. The plaza doesn't do tent sales anymore, I don't know anyone that's doing tent sales, it's called Amazon now. Right? No, they used to be popular, the plaza used to do them, they used to do them up at Marketplace, but I haven't seen those in a long time.
Mr. Chair? Looking at the site plan, it is striped with a crosswalk fairly close to that location.
Right in front, yeah.
So with small children, that gives you that opportunity. There's one on to the other side.
Yeah, I think it might be right in front of the tenant space, yeah. I was out there earlier today.
It's close. It's
Yeah,
one over.
those were all
One over, yeah.
redone and restriped and with the landscaping effort and making sure all the ADA spots were compliant.
But
That
good
was
to
all
have
looked
there.
at.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions. I saw the targeted age group is 3 months to 8 years.
Yeah.
So how many push-ups can a 3-month? What kind of activities?
It's mainly like a kind of
Rolling
a
over?
circle time, more songs, more dancing with the kids. Very, very, very gentle, gross motor activities that we'll do with the children. Nothing, I mean, the parents are holding their children for the majority
So
of
the
it.
parents are generally
Yeah.
there?
Oh, the parents participate. Any child
Yeah.
3.5 and under, the parents or an adult has to be with the child. And so there is,
All right. That's
yeah,
okay.
so
Sorry.
tummy time activities, things like that.
Okay, all right. That's all I have. Any other questions? If not,
I think condition 30
Yeah, we just need
is one
some-
that we really need to, as a tenant, we don't want to be uncomfortable with the fact that that is between the owner and the town. And I don't know what those past decisions entail because I didn't represent the landlord on those 2014. I have no idea on compliance, but when we start talking about, 2 planters in front of an 18,000 square foot space and we have less than 1/5 of that, why aren't a couple of planters sufficient? I'm not trying to make an argument for the owner on behalf of the owner because it's their issue with the town, but we're less than 1/5 the size of that. And the reason I raise this is because when you start saying a percentage of the linear frontage of Dave's space, even if you say 25%, that's 10 feet. 2 5-foot planters, you don't want to have a small child tripping over that either. We have 2 5-foot planters. And the door is, the door kind of matches the windows. When I took some pictures, when you look at it, it's kind of all glass. And you don't want to create a confusing situation just to say we got big planters. I mean, I think that a couple of planters by the brick lally columns in this common area are sufficient, just like that. And I'd ask the board to consider that just as sufficient on this particular, in front of this particular space. Again, it not being our responsibility, but it just makes a lot of sense in terms of the people going in and out. And it is common area, it is common. One of the things that you don't see a lot of is width in these various plazas. We have promenades. One of the best examples of width is up at Legal Seafood. In that new plaza there, you have very, very wide walking areas. You don't have that in some of the older plazas like this. This is decades old. So, I mean, just from a common sense perspective, I wouldn't go with a percentage of the frontage. I would just say, look, here's what we required for 18,000 square feet. Why isn't it sufficient for
Well, that
1,300?
picture is exactly why I put in a percentage, because those planters are like, actually, I went out there today, I missed them. That's how small they are. But I would default to the board and what they're comfortable with.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I measured those planters just so I could kind of get a sense for the size of the planters that could potentially be. I would prefer to have a circular planter by a column rather than having rectangular planters up against my windows or near my windows. If you put it right next to the column, it's not gonna impede on that walkway space. Also, FX Messina just redid the whole front facade, and now it matches with the other facades. So I just feel like putting planters, like a low bed of plants, long rectangular, it doesn't match what Planet Fitness has for their planters. I'd prefer to have the same planter, just like Planet Fitness, up against one of my columns near my front door, and then we would keep that seasonally adjusted and making that look nice. So then I would think that like I don't know, I mean, and again, it's probably not my responsibility to maintain this planter, it goes to FX Messina, but that's my preference, is to have something similar to what Planet Fitness has.
Okay. So are we comfortable that the applicant will do the right thing with planters
Well,
or
the applicant
substitute?
wants nothing to do with the
Well,
planters.
or the-
Well, I don't want a planter that, if the planter's there, I'm gonna keep it looking nice, so that's,
Thank you.
you know, of course, and I mean, I will work that out with FX Messina.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I guess the first question is, who's responsible for the planters?
The owner is responsible. I mean, if we take a watering pail and, keep the plants
Okay.
healthy, that's,
So what I'd like to do then, if it's okay with the board, I'd like the condition for me to work with Mr. Harnan on something, because the ones that Planet Fitness has are just not, they're not big enough in my opinion, for that particular location. So I'd like to get 4 uniform ones. If they're gonna be responsible, I'll work directly with them to get something acceptable out there that's tasteful and matches, if that's okay with them.
It's okay with me.
Okay, with the on that basis then,
I guess that's.
we'll modify condition 30 to reflect our latest thinking on that, and with that modification in mind, with a motion to approve this application.
Mr. Chairman, before we get that far, we have acceptance of correspondence. First order of business, please.
All right, a motion to accept the correspondence, then, is that right?
So moved.
All right, second,
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now the movement.
One more, close the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
In favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And item number 3, this is what we're all waiting for.
Mr. Chairman, I'll help you out here.
Thank you, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve the use special permit and site plan review for planning board file number 24-03 WATE LLC applicant,
With the conditions as
with the
modified.
conditions as modified, 695, 787 Granite Street.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
thank you very much.
Motion carries.
Yeah, thank you very much, thanks.
Thank you, good luck.
Realize that is something perfect, right?
Thank you.
Good night, thank you.
Thanks, Will.
Good, yeah. Okay. All right, stepping right on to the next one. We'll move on to the continued public hearings. The first one on the list is Liberty Street.
Are you skipping?
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's right. I skipped right over because I didn't know this had continued. Okay, so the next one is 238, 310 Grove Street. And Director Santucci Razzi, can you read the public notice?
Yes,
And then-
and just so that the board is aware, the applicant has requested a continuance without testimony. So if we could just open and then continue. Notice is given by the planning board under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Sections 9 and 11, and the Braintree zoning bylaw, Chapter 135, Articles 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, and 14, that a public hearing will be conducted on Tuesday, May 14th at 7:15 p.m. in Braintree Town Hall. The planning board will consider an application for special permit, commercial recreation, and site plan review filed by Jason Abraham, applicant. The applicant's project involves occupying 8,500 square feet of the former retail space. The property is located at 238, 310 Grove Street, is zoned general business, shown on Braintree Assessors Map 1048, Lot 18.
Thank you. And as the director mentioned, we had a request from the applicant to continue to June 11th without testimony. And we have a motion by member Grove. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by member Kent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right.
And that was for June, right? June
June 11th is stated.
11th.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
All right. And then, so next on the agenda, which I tried to jump to early, was Liberty Street and Liberty Street rear, new address 1675 Liberty Street. Continued public hearing for a grading permit, file 2312. But I know this is Assistant Director Murphy's project, but
Yeah, I'm up to speed. Up to speed. This file. No, yes. Although I am, I'm sure Austin is more up to speed than I am.
I don't know.
I would be very happy if he stole my thunder.
okay, well, I will turn it right over to the applicant.
Sure.
He's ready to go.
Obviously, for any questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Austin Chartier with Mackenzie Engineering Group. We did the survey and site plans for this. We were before you at the last meeting, and we had made some changes at that point. We have not made any changes to the plan since we were last before you. We went to Conservation Commission. They issued an order of conditions for this property. So from the last time we were before you, nothing's changed. Just a quick summary. The lot itself, well, it's a 5.3 acre parcel. So this is the full parcel of the site itself, but it is basically broken up with a wetland in the middle. This is the wetland, so we're proposing to work on the south part of the property. So it's a 5.3 acre parcel and we're disturbing about 25,000 square feet. So the application that we filed with you was a grading permit. I believe the max cut on the property is about 2.5 feet and the max fill is about 3 feet. We did review the staff draft approval and we had no comments with any of that. So I can keep it brief at that since there's been no changes since we were last before you. And with me tonight is Brian McGordy of McGordy Realty LLC, and either of us are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. All right, with that, I'll turn it over to member comments. Member Conley?
I don't have any questions.
Member McCamey?
Sure, thank you. I noticed that groundwater moved it from a major stormwater permit to a minor one?
No, I believe this still requires a major stormwater permit.
Okay, I'm just looking at this page here.
That's
Did I
what
miss-
DPW said because there was a grading permit.
Oh, okay.
It was a minor, but
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You could be right.
When they come to the planning board, because there's a lot of review that goes into it, and also in conservation, sometimes they, on the single families, they downgrade them.
I see, okay. Maybe I just didn't read it all. Okay. And did conservation come up with anything substantial?
I believe there were 3 additional kind of custom conditions that they issued. One of them was extending. We're proposing a 2-foot riprap buffer along the edge of the driveway. Essentially, this project is exempt from stormwater management from a stormwater perspective, but it's not exempt from a stormwater permit with the town of Braintree. So we did conduct a full stormwater report on this property, but we didn't necessarily have to provide pre-treatment for the driveway. One of the conditions is that a driveway for residential use is basically exempt from pre-treatment. So we still provided some treatment for that water with a riprap shoulder up the driveway, and we extended that up basically towards the house. There were some additional plantings that we were adding within the 25 to 50 foot buffer as well. And that was really it. The major benefit of this project is that there's a broken pipe that takes water from Liberty Street that's right underneath this driveway. So as part of this work, we're repairing that and providing a new outlet for that pipe outside of the wetland and a little bit of pre-treatment for that.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Member Kent?
No questions?
Member Grove?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, this is a public hearing. I know we've had the opportunity for public comment previously, but if there's anyone in the audience who has anything to say about Liberty Street? Okay. All right, I don't have any comments or questions either. Director Santucci Rossi, is there anything you feel like you want to add to the?
No, I know Mr. McGurty and the town were going back and forth, and, you know, they were able to come to a resolution. You know, I had some concerns about that pipe and respectfully the condition that the town left it in. And, you know, I've expressed that internally to DPW. There was a lot of back and forth that was frankly not necessary if, when that pipe exploded or whatever happened to it, if it was repaired then. So it created some delays for Mr. McGurty, and, you know, it's not his responsibility, it's not his pipe, and I'm just grateful that they were able to come to an amicable solution. I haven't had a chance to go through Connor's draft in detail, but there might be a couple things that I will be adding related to post-operations O&M. This one's a little bit trickier than some of our baseline single-family homes, so I just want to make sure that all the improvements that are provided by Mr. McGurty are maintained going forward by the future owner. So there might be some minor revisions in here, based on my review.
And the O&M would be part of the conservation order of conditions also, right?
It is, yep.
All right, and I know we have the staff report and the draft conditions, which the applicant has said that they don't have any comments or questions on. So I think with that, be looking for a motion to enter the correspondence through May 13th into the record.
So move.
The motion by member Kent, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Grove, all those in favor?
Aye.
Now a motion to close public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Aye, all right, motion by member Kent, second by member Grove, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, and then that's everything, so then just a motion on the grading permit application.
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve the grading permit, Planning Board File 23-12, Liberty Street and rear Liberty Street.
I have a motion by member McCamey, do we have a second?
With, I should add, with the, with any updated
Yes, thank you,
conditions.
thank you.
Second.
Second by member Grove, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, next and last item on the agenda is 99 and 107 Hancock Street, Planning Board File 24-01. And this is a continued public hearing. The counsel for the applicant, Attorney Troyer, if you'd like to start.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Again, my name is Doug Troyer. I represent the applicant. With me tonight is we have Phil Baker from our architect. We have Austin, who's already spoken to you from engineering, and we have Pat Fisher with us, and Brian McCordy is here as well. Last time we were before you, we've kind of gone through everything. Where we left off at the last hearing was we had just received peer review. We had a subsequent meeting with the peer review and town planner here to go over it in detail. We subsequently provided a response to that and have received a peer review response. To the best of my knowledge, is we have satisfied all of the concerns. We filed not only our response to the peer review, but some revised plans, some civil engineering, which Austin could talk to if in fact you guys have any specific questions about those. And we also had a conversation about kind of the materials and the colors on the renderings and the elevations. And we have submitted some revisions for a conversation, which we can go over in detail as the board may wish. Hopefully we have reviewed the staff memo. I've had conversations with the town planner to go over certain comments in which I had, and I think we've come to an agreement, just some typos and just some explanation for myself. I haven't seen the final at this point, but based on our conversation, I don't believe that I have any concerns with it. And with that, if the board would like, I can have Austin talk to some of the changes to the plans, or we can go directly to the revised renderings and elevations to kind of talk about the colors, because that was kind of a hot topic where we left off last time.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I'll ask the director if you have any questions that you
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions, just wanted to reiterate, I did have an opportunity to review the draft conditions with Mr. Troyer this morning. I had a couple typos, I appreciate them pointing those out to me. We just were kind of going through, there was a lot of different submissions and a lot of revised plans, just making sure we had the accurate plans reflected in the decision. And then we did talk a little bit about the elevations, and he explained that he was gonna bring those this evening. So this is ready. I do have Eric Diaz, our peer review consultant here, and there was some lengthy comments. I wanna commend the applicant and Mr. Diaz. We all met, we all went to the site. We were just like we were all thinking the same things and really worked together to come up with a solution. So I asked him to be here this evening to give his report, and if there's any follow-up questions from any of the board members. But I'm ready, if the board's ready to move forward, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Diaz, do you mind coming up and giving the update? And thank you very much.
Hopefully that wasn't me.
No, I was testing myself on, thank you so much.
Good evening. For the record, Eric Dias, registered professional engineer with Strong Point Engineering. Now, let me take a second first and say that I don't think I'm cool enough to wear sunglasses inside at night, and I feel foolish, so I have to address it. It is a very temporary medical thing. So I just didn't want you folks to think I'm cracking up on you.
I'm like, for our final appearance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bring the clown
Our
out.
peer review consultant.
I thought it was a very cool look.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. I feel like the engineering Terminator up there. But yes, council is right. We are satisfied with our review. We reflected that in our third peer review letter.
we did have opportunity to meet on the Friday after our last meeting, and luckily it was raining, which was
Yep.
great. Because I think at some point, either before or after that meeting, we were all able to go to the site and see clear as day the exact area of Braintree Manor that is flowing onto this property. It's nowhere near as big an area as we had feared it could be. So very well defined, they incorporated it into their design. They were able to just increase the size of one of the subsurface infiltration systems to take care of it. And in doing that, they were able to also eliminate the rain garden that was proposed along the front corner of the property that I don't think anybody had a great fuzzy feeling about. And so really that's it. They did a great job. They complied with all of our comments. And you know, like I said, we're satisfied. But I got any questions you folks have, I'm glad to answer.
Great, thank you. I'm glad to hear there's one positive from all the rain.
Yeah, I was like,
Pretty
we're like, it's
cool.
pouring, go get it out. I'm like, I just came back from there, it was awesome.
All right.
Geeked
So we'll see
out.
if anybody, maybe before we go over the presentation, just see if anybody has any questions. Member Conley?
No, but thank you for the update.
Sure.
Member McCamey?
I'm just curious, if we had determined that Braintree Manor property was causing a large problem, what would we have done?
Well, I think and Austin, feel free to jump in at any point, or Eric, there was a portion of the site that is contributing, and they've already accounted for some of that in the design. The other thing that we saw was, they got a weird setup over there. They kind of have, no, they do, they have a parking lot that is behind the building that has maybe 6 low points and nowhere near catch basins, and then a bunch of high points. The parking lot needs to be redone. And then there's this huge ramp that goes down to a lower parking area that also has a catch basin in it that's like, what, sunken in like 2 feet into the ground, so, but that's kind of like that corner. Can you flip up a site plan just so we can orient? I don't have a site plan, okay.
I have,
there's
a small one.
So, it's basically, I have it down here.
I have handouts if that will put everything on, if that would be beneficial,
That's okay.
since we don't have the TV.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, you guys all know what I'm talking about, but in this general area here, you can see the grades, and then you can see the catch basin, and this is like, I mean, this is 10 feet lower than this. There's actually a ramp over here that comes down. So there's a lot of water that's already flowing in that direction, and what wasn't, Austin, when he started explaining, has captured quite a bit of that. This actually isn't running off this way. It's going down to this centralized point, and it's running, you know, kind of in this manner here.
Yeah.
So,
I guess what I was getting at is,
if the whole thing was draining in the, I mean,
well,
I guess it's,
what responsibility does Braintree Manor have and to you know, fix this?
well, I mean, that's the natural topography as well.
Right.
It's interesting, you know, I guess on the front end, it would be contributing to the stormwater, in the pre-development and in the post-development, and then the question would come up, you know, that site isn't the one that's getting redeveloped. If you started taking that entire area, you know, now you're kind of looking at a redevelopment scenario, because that's already all developed, and their standards would be different than, it really came down to an issue of, we just want to make sure that Mr. McGurty going forward isn't taking on other stormwater that's gonna cause his stormwater to do something else.
Right.
That eventually would, I mean, if you think about it, everything eventually, you know, whatever doesn't get absorbed or diverted goes to Hancock Street,
Sure.
essentially.
Yeah.
Through those properties, whether it's Cusack on the corner,
Yeah.
a portion of this site in the former dwelling, or the dwelling at 99, or this particular site in itself. But yeah, I mean, if I had to rate their parking lot and their system, they would be in academic probation. It doesn't look very good. And then these guys all saw it, I mean.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
and if I may expand on that for a minute, just through the chair, that was one of the things that we had originally feared, right? If, let's just say, worst case scenario, that whole parking lot is draining here.
Yeah.
It becomes a question of, is it really fair to Mr. McGurty to have to deal with all of their stormwater runoff just because they're technically non-compliant? And we got lucky that that's not the case. The simple fact of the matter is I don't believe your current stormwater ordinance gives you any enforcement abilities. So we would kind of, from the technical letter of the law, you would have to be sort of at their mercy until they came forward with a permit to do something else.
Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, you know, I know Attorney Marinelli talked about ordinance changes in the past. If that ever comes up, it may be something to consider.
Right, okay. Thank you.
A funny thing though is
Oh.
that day when it was actually pouring, there wasn't really any ponding or anything in there, which was very unusual,
It
so.
somehow seems to be working, despite itself.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Member Ted?
No questions?
Member Grote? Okay. All right,
Thank
thank you very much. Appreciate all your work on this one.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, just, and Doug or Pat, whoever wants to, run through, these, revisions, or Phil, whoever's on first tonight for the architect team. So what they have done is they have inserted some, I believe the color was light gray and, you know, the color, I have three different and the color looks different in every single one. So I think, and Phil and Pat, I think that light gray is actually much lighter than the rendering.
It is, yeah, correct, yeah.
Okay.
Just the way it prints and
Yeah.
it's not as dark as you would
Yeah.
actually see.
So we got on the Hardy Plank website and we were
Yeah,
trying to look at all the
correct.
colors and stuff, and it was clear that, because there was some other grays that were, the names indicated they were darker than the light gray, but they looked much lighter than, and I think the goal is just to have something that is just slightly different, just to kind of make those, and I think that they've achieved that in this rendering. Connor had some concerns that it was too dark, but I just wanted to verify, we could have 7 copies here and they would all look completely different.
Correct.
So I think anything in the light gray tone, if the board's okay with that, will offset it just enough to kind of. Do you have the other ones from last time with just the all white, just so the board can
I do not, no.
see the
Yes,
difference?
that's just the two different ones, just the other side, the left-hand
Yeah.
side, showing the gray. But obviously, it's how this is shadowed, so the grays look a little darker, but it's actually much lighter than this
Yeah.
in the field. And we also lengthened the brick vertically on the front as well for
So,
both.
yeah, I just wanted to pass that around just so the board members could get a better.
Yeah, trying to
idea.
break up the monotony of all the white. So essentially on the front, we added brick to the two gables. Left the white board and bed. Board and bed's like a vertical material. Left that in the top of the peaks. And then wrapping on the right and left. Anytime there's a change of roof line, we had the light gray in that. So it just kind of breaks up the kind of hierarchy of volumes. This actually is flat right here, so we have a little trim detail going here, just to make that read as a volume. So
Yeah,
as you're kind of
yeah.
wrapping the building left and right, it just reads a lot better than just having a long white box, so to speak. And there is a lot of depth here, like that's a 2-foot jog, 2-foot jog. So there is a little bit of hierarchy there. It's tough to realize in the rendering, but when it's actually built, you'll be able to see the shadow lines. And this steps back a considerable amount as well.
Yeah. I think they're very responsible in addressing that. I don't know how the board members feel, but it's just enough without being, you know, some buildings just have too many colors and too much contrast.
Yeah, that's the last thing we want to do is add too much color. I did preferentially like the white myself, but adding the gray still works to me. And we also made the windows black, so it's black windows with white trim. So the windows will also popple on the white, so it's not just going to feel just this long white volume. The windows will have a definition and kind of a depth to them.
Great, thank you. So Director Santi-Girosi, in your opinion, that satisfies that condition 54 that was in there about facade?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if
modifications?
they were gonna get this back in time and, you know, if they needed a little more time. They had come in. I'm just waiting for a final dated set, that's all, and then I'll reference those, and then 54 can be eliminated. This is much preferable so the board can see them. and weigh in. So we would just delete 54.
Great, so before we move on to anything else, do you have any other members of the board have any questions? Member Conley?
I appreciate the update to the facade. I think it's an improvement and it ties in nicely with the building next door. Thank you.
Member Conley?
Did we resolve any lighting issues? Was there some lighting issues?
We talked about the lighting last time. The direction from the board was, either side is not, a single-family residential home, and that that light would be spilling a little, this light would be spilling a little. We did have the final lighting plan that shows very, 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 very low levels at the property line.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Member Kett?
No more questions.
Member Grove?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I don't have any, thank you for all the quick responses along the way.
Thank
The
you.
various things that have come up. And so it is a public hearing. If anybody is here to speak on 99, 107 Hampton Street, we have just the team in the room basically. So, okay. Next, I'll take a motion to enter the correspondence through May 12th into the record. Motion by Member Grove and a second by Member Kent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Member Grove,
Second.
second by Member Conley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we'll be looking for a motion on the request for a special permit and site plan review application.
And there's 2 special permits, just to
Or
be
two
clear.
special
And
permits
site
and
plan.
site plan
Yeah.
review.
Yeah, 601 and 702B.
So moved.
We have a motion by Member Kent to grant approval for the 2 special permits and site plan review, and a second by Member Grove. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Just for the record, I think you guys already know this, but I did want to comment on just how helpful and great your staff is.
Thank you.
Melissa has walked me through some of the process. It's been a while since I've been before this town, city, and I just want to commend just how nice it is to have someone who walks you through it, spends the time, and directs you the right way. And I wanted to sing her praises because
Oh, thank you.
wouldn't have been able to get through some of the complexity of this project without her. So thank you very much.
I learned from your client.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so now we just have left the motion to close the hearing tonight. Not so fast, Member Grove.
So,
Okay.
dates on them?
Yeah.
All right,
So I
motion by
can-
Member
I'll add
Conley,
it
here's
into
a
that plan
second.
section.
Second by Member Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Hey,